Setting up Excel Gradebook is fast and easy. All you have to do is click on the list sheet. The list sheet is where you will have all the information of your students. Now you can enter this information manually or by copy pasting it from somewhere else. In this case, I have a list of students already in another Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to proceed to paste from cell A3. Just make sure that the information corresponds to the titles of each column. So for example, column A is student's ID, B is last name, comma first name, C is major, D email, etc. etc. Now Excel Gradebook only needs the student ID, the student first and last name, and their email in order to work. All the rest is optional. Once you have done that, you can click on Add Email Links and Format to add formatting to your list. So you can click on the email addresses and spawn emails. The next step is to click on Initial Setup. This will start the setup wizard. Here you can add your name, your email address. Also, very important, you have to define what is going to be your class schedule. If your class is on Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday, select the first option. If it's on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, select the second option. If it's once a week, just select once a week. If it's every weekday, just select every weekday. If your class schedule doesn't match any of these options, select Other. In this case, I'm just going to put Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday. Then you must select your class start date. This is important for Excel's Gradebook to create the schedule for your class so you can track attendance. So I'm just going to leave today's date. Then you can put your class code, reference number, name, location. The next important thing is the maximum allowed missed assignments. So here you will type the maximum number of assignments that you allow your students to miss before they get into any trouble. So I'm going to put 3 here, and the same for missed lectures. I'm going to put 3. If your students pass these maximums, Excel's Gradebook is going to spawn or auto-generate email notifications to your students. Now, the last thing is the number of expected assignments. This could be up to a maximum of 30. For now, I'm going to put 15. Now, if I put 15, that doesn't mean that you have to have 15 assignments or homework. You can have less than this, but not more than the number that you enter in this field. Now, if your grade system uses signs, for example, you use A+, A-, then you will check here. When you finish, click Next. This will generate the spreadsheets according to the information you enter and move you to the next step. The next step is to define your syllabus. Here you will assign what you have in your syllabus and what grade corresponds to each category. So if you give a grade to attendance, you should put it here. For example, let's put 5% for attendance. You can move from fields to field using the tab key. If you have homework, put your percentage here. I'm going to put 30%. If you have a final project that is divided in smaller assignments, you should put a number here. So let's say I have a final project that is worth 40%. And if you have midterms and finals, you should also put it here. So I'm going to put 10% for a midterm and 10% for a final. Now, if you have other kind of assignments that are different from the ones that you see here, you can customize new assignments. So you can use the option Custom 1 and Custom 2. For example, I have 5% left, so I'm going to give that 5% to quizzes. When I finish, I click Next. This will move me to the next step on the wizard, which is defining my project. This is my final project that can be divided into smaller assignments. So the first smaller assignment is going to be project. I'm going to call it proposal. So I'm going to put proposal here, and that's going to be 20% of my final project. The next thing I want to evaluate is going to be a report. and that's gonna be 40%. And the last thing I want to evaluate maybe is a demo, and that's the final 40%. Once I'm done, I can click done, and that's it. Excel Gradebook has now been set up, and you are ready to enter grades. So all you have to do is, once you evaluate those different assignments, for example, homework, you click on homework, you go here, and for each student, you start entering grades. Now, the only thing I want to mention here is while you're entering grades, notice that I'm entering grades in column E, and let's say you finish entering grades for these students here. Notice how you have the averages for the total of the homework and also for each assignment. Now, you have 15 assignments like you define in your setup, but that doesn't mean you need to use all of them. Let's say you only want to have 3 assignments. So all you have to do is fill the 3 first columns in order to get that. Now, for example, you should start this process always by the first student. So, because if you don't do so, you start from the second student adding grades. Notice that this number here on cell D4 will still say 1. So Excel's Gradebook is going to think you only have 1 assignment and will not calculate correctly the totals. So if you want to start for any other student than the first one, just add a 0 in the first student. The first student row will determine how many assignments you are using. So let's say I want to use 5 assignments. I can put 5 zeros here temporarily until you have the grade for that student, and then continue adding grades for everybody else. This will correctly add a 5 here, meaning that the average will be calculated based on 5 assignments. The same is done in all other sheets in Excel's Gradebook. So here is the project sheet, it's the same system, and also if you go here to the custom, which is your quizzes, as you can see here it says quizzes, you can start adding the grades in the same fashion. So once you set it up, all you have to do is add the grades, and Excel Gradebook will do the rest. So I finished adding grades here. So when you click on your totals spreadsheet, you will see this is the main sheet that shows you all the totals of the grades for each of your students. Notice how there is still some incomplete grades here on exams. When I go to the exam section, I'm still missing some exam tests, so that's why I have that. Now, if I go back to the totals again, notice I also have an extra credit column. This column is completely open for you to add any number that you want, and this will be your extra credit that is added to the totals. If you click on the total curve sheet, this will show you how the grades will be if they were to be curved. And of course, the curve is a simple curve. It gets the highest grade and then considers that to be the new 100 and then recalculates all the other grades based on that. Finally, if you click on your graph sheet, this is your dashboard, and here you will have a way to control all your different email notifications, settings, and statistics about your class.